What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Accelerate Your Life podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mallory Marks, and joined by a special guest today, we have Alyx Duckering. I am super excited to have her here. She is one of our EA clients, and she's actually a very new client. You're what, like just over 1 month into coaching?
I think so. Yeah. My first day was
Yeah.
January 10th. So
Okay.
whatever that is.
Yeah, so we're like 5 weeks in. And honestly, your first week is typically kind of getting just your feet under you, getting like onboarded and everything. So yeah, she's about a month into coaching. And I thought this would be a really cool episode to kind of see what it's like in the early stages of coaching when you are first getting started, because a lot of people, it can be hard to settle into something that really has a long-term focus, right? Like we're really trying to approach this for your health long-term, something that is sustainable, which doesn't always mean the quickest of results, which can be tough for some people. So I'm super excited for people listening to be able to kind of hear what your experience has been like and what's maybe kind of helped you still stay the path, what wins you have seen, because there definitely are lots of wins that can come very early. So without further ado, we can hop right in. I'm sure I'll be asking you a bunch of questions kind of about your experience so far, before even starting, during, what it's like now. But I just really want to give listeners an inside scoop of like what the process looks like and how to know if they should jump into coaching too. So we'll kind of get to hear a little bit about how you made that decision. But before we dive into all of that, I don't know if you've listened to the pod before, you might know that I have a question that I ask everybody. Are you prepared for the question? Do you know what it is?
It's been a while. I did start listening to it. I haven't listened to everything, but
Oh, she admits she hasn't listened. I'm just kidding. It's
I
super
listened to
easy.
some. I listened to enough to know that this is a swearing podcast and that you
Yes, it
don't.
is. You can swear. We will not edit it out. No, super easy question. It's just like a fun one that I think puts a positive start to the episode. What is something that you love about life right now?
What is something that I love about life right now? I love that I'm still not burnt out because, like we talked about before the recording, I'm a therapist. It's really fucking difficult to be a therapist
Yeah.
nowadays. And I mean, I'm working on the license process. So, like, at this point, I have space in my calendar to take on more clients, but I'm like, I'm going to focus on studying for the final licensing exam first. But I mean, there are people that, I don't know, within even 3 months of starting like as an associate in the field or after grad school or even during grad school, that it's just not a pretty picture. So I'm loving that, like, even though the studying for this stupid exam is really annoying, I'm still here, I'm still thriving in
Hell yeah.
probably as many ways as I can. Maybe not everything, but that's also, part of life. And
That's absolutely a win to celebrate. And I actually think about that all the time. Your field is one of the ones I have so much respect for, because I just think like you are literally sitting on either in person or probably on Zoom if you do remote, like hour after hour, back to back meeting of people just kind of dumping, right? And like that's, it's to help them, but like man, taking that emotion on all day every day. To be honest, I obviously love what I freaking do, and like getting to talk to clients and potential clients and help and their goals and bring them on is lights me up. But back in the day when I was taking like 5 of those kind of enrollment calls a day, like it was mentally exhausting. And I've always thought about adding that extra layer of it really being like deep kind of trauma, emotional stuff. Like I have to give you such a round of applause. I'm curious, is there anything like you feel like that has really led to you kind of being able to protect your energy recently?
I think I'm trying to remember when it because I don't feel like I really had any issues with that in grad school. So I had it figured out pretty early on as far as like boundaries, like
Mhm.
knowing what to say no to. And I think, I was the type of person that, you give me an assignment, I'm gonna do it like that day. And that way, like my mentality is, the more you do now, the less you have to do later. But even with that, I was still able to, I mean, I definitely didn't do anything on weekends. Like even in grad school, as crazy as the workload can be, and also like for if cohort members are listening to this or watching this, I took on like all of the various like research and assistant roles and all sorts of stuff. I still did not do anything on weekends or really pulled any all-nighters. So I think that kind of carried in. Like I was very good about like this is work time or school time and then this is home time. You know what? As I'm talking, I think what really helped was starting in COVID because
Mm.
my first year of grad school was like the first year that COVID hit. So I was fully remote from the get-go. And so we had to figure out like, okay, work-life balance, like, like having your computer in your room that can mess with things. So how do I differentiate? So I changed my clothes. Like I had my like as if I were to go to school in person or to my traineeship in person or whatever I was doing. I dressed as if that was the case. And then the second I was done, closed my computer, I changed my clothes, and then that's it. And so I kind of do the same thing now, like with where my schedule's at. I still don't do anything on weekends, and I'm either home by 7 or my computer, like my last session ends by 7, and that's it, at latest. So I think, yeah, boundaries with my
Yeah.
time, making sure that I'm prioritizing me because I've gone through, I mean, I'm not that many decades old, but I've gone through decades of not doing exactly that.
Right.
So yeah.
I think those are such good boundaries for anybody listening that's maybe like work from home and struggle with that. The idea of changing your clothes, that's a genius one. But I'm the same way. I had to set a lot of boundaries of like, here's my personal time, here's work time, because it can get very, very blurred. Do you feel like really diving into your health and fitness too and kind of prioritizing yourself in that regard and having to put time aside for that has kind of helped keep you sane as well?
I feel like that's a loaded question, a loaded answer. So I have always been into like health and fitness. Like I grew up in like I've been doing ballet, figure skating, and gymnastics since I was, I don't know, 3, 4. So always kind of been, and of course like with the ballet and all the things that come with
Mhm.
that. But I've always been into, yeah, activity and exercise one way, shape, or form. And then even, with my boyfriend, who's also now an EA client too.
We'll get
I
to
might
that.
yeah. And so he got me into weight training. Like I mean, I was a dancer. I did, I had a lot of core and leg strength, but I never did any like lifting until we started dating. And then it wasn't even in the very beginning of our relationship, maybe like a year or two. Then I started going to the weight training gym with him and doing what he was doing. But then, yeah, like as far as nutrition, I mean, I grew up in a place where I think kind of like you, like, we were always like health conscious and stuff, but like flexible. Like my parents let us have treats and stuff, but there were definitely like some specific food rules. Like we could only have one sugar cereal in the house at a time. So I had a brother, so we would like alternate. Okay, well, it's my turn since this box is done and you chose that one, so I'm gonna do tricks, and then we have tricks in the house until that box runs up, and then it's his turn. Just things like that, or like have a fruit or a vegetable before a treat, and like don't go overboard with that. So I was always kind of like on par with like health and stuff, and try to avoid processed foods, but they didn't like restrict any of that. That was kind of my own doing eventually. But then I restricted like everything. Then that's, so I think I've always had that. But as far as, making it so that, okay, what is actually going to work for me? That's kind of a new thing. And not just with health and fitness. That's like with everything. I did a lot of self-work last year to start like set myself up to putting myself first. Like I've always been the person, I mean, I'm a therapist. Like people come to me with their problems and I would just jump to solving them or helping them solve their own, so on and so forth, like regardless of whether you're a therapy client or someone in my life. And that's not helpful. I don't want to do that. And then also realizing that certain friendships were not really friendships. Like friends don't insult or like say certain things like that, or they shouldn't, or I deserve a better type of friendship. So starting to distance myself from the things that I realized weren't serving me and moving myself closer towards the things that I feel like will. Um, and like with the eating and the exercising, like I was weight training consistently. I'm still training the same amount of days per week. I'm still eating essentially the same like type of foods, just a lot more than I was. Like I was not, like I said, like with the eating disorder stuff, like I was restricting intentionally for a while. And then I stopped doing that, but I was still restricting, just unintentionally. I didn't know that I was still not feeding my body as much as I should. So it got to the point where like I don't know what to do. Like, so I just need somebody else to tell me what to do and I'll do it. So that's where I'm at here.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think so. If I'm kind of hearing you correctly, like definitely you've always been one to prioritize health and fitness, and that's helped you also set boundaries in a lot of other areas. And now this is a place you've been able, because you've kind of set other boundaries too, like have been
Yeah.
able to focus more so on. So amazing. Well, I'm very excited for us to dive in and hear a little bit more about your story so far and how like optimizing things and diving in has made a difference. It's also super hot in my room. So one second, because I need to turn the fan or I'm gonna die. All right, this podcast, I tell you, it's real. All right. So I am curious though, before we kind of get into your experience, asking you some questions about your time with EA so far, is there anything that you wish you would have been able to have heard from somebody prior? Like, let's say somebody listening now, if you were that person, like, do you wish there would have been a podcast episode that you could have checked out before making the decision or before like knowing what coaching was? And if so, like what would you have wanted to hear on it to help you?
Hmm. And I guess that's kind of hard because I've always kind of like been in this like lifestyle and also having like the career goals of after I'm done with my license to get my nutrition and personal training certifications and all of that. So I feel like I kind of already knew what to expect. I would say that, you know, I know we've talked about it like in my onboarding, like I had a really bad experience with a coach who like it was just not personalized at all. It was, I think I calculated it out. It was like a 1,000 calories, maybe 1,015 calories per day, and like 3 hours of cardio every day, plus like other supplements and stuff that I was like, I'm not doing this. Like I did that for maybe a month, maybe a week technically, and then I took certain things that I felt like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but left the rest. Um, and it wasn't like that was the thing, like it wasn't individualized. There was
Mhm.
no it doesn't fit into your lifestyle. It's basically like here, start this. Like even, you know, with Michael, they like it was just here is your plan. This is what exactly what you're gonna eat and your training plan. For me, they significantly undercut stuff, and for him, they like tripled his calories. But like it
Mhm.
was very start yesterday.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's not sustainable in either direction. We
right.
both had results that didn't go, you know, the way that we wanted, which make, yeah, that makes sense. So the fact that it is super individualized, super like holistic, like, right? I mean, you talk about, especially with Nick on board now, like with all the other,
Yeah, Coach
you
Nick.
know, mental emotional release, and you know,
Yeah.
there's the way of incorporating trauma and stuff that does play a role in everything. So yeah, I think it would have been nice to know. I mean, obviously I knew what questions to ask because of my
Yeah.
previous experience, but if I had absolutely no experience in coaching whatsoever, yeah, what the fuck am I getting myself into? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, is this
for sure.
sustainable? Is this, you know, what all are the factors that you guys focus on?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we can definitely cover that because I want someone that's listening that might not know. Because I think we've had both. And I think maybe this episode will serve for both people then. The people who have had a really shitty experience before, because there's a lot of those out there and it breaks my heart because there's a lot of shitty coaches out there, like point blank there is. And it's very hard to trust again, to make an investment again, to trust in your health, be vulnerable with something so personal again when you've been burned. And I totally get that. So it's something I would want someone to feel extremely confident and comfortable that like, hey, this is actually going to be the right fit this time. And then, your other person who has no idea what the frick coaching even is, and doesn't know what to expect, is this going to be like a meal plan? Is this going to be restrictive? Whatever. So hopefully we can kind of shed some light on that. But I think first, before we like go any further, I would love to know, like, how did you find Accelerate Athletics? How did you find us?
Instagram. I don't know. It was one of those like targeted ads. Like, and I still get some like, bro,
Yeah.
I already am working with somebody. Stop. It's not relevant. Like, it technically is relevant, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So it was one of those. And I think let's see, I got the like the Thanksgiving thing. So sometime
Okay.
last
Yeah.
November,
Which like those ads go to everyone, right? Like, and we, like you just said, you get so many, you see so many other ones. So I'm curious, like, what about ours or what about my page? Maybe like what kind of stuck out to you about EA that was like, you know what, this maybe seems like actually something I want to look at.
yeah, I think honestly, like the page specific, well, I don't know. From the first ads, like they're all kind of the same, like they're
Yeah.
literally the same format.
Good.
And so I think I had reached out to maybe 5 or 6 different like
Dang.
programs. I had some time. Uh and so yeah, so I did like 5 to 6 different programs and like did like the consult calls and stuff. And then it came down between you and actually, I think it's one of your new best friends based on your stories. So,
We can drop the name after. Let me know
yeah.
after.
And so I think based on the consult calls, I feel like just the vibe, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'm a therapist. I pick up on
Yeah,
like
totally.
have to be a good fit, like
For
personality wise.
sure.
Like it doesn't matter how many certifications I've got. Um, if I'm not a good fit for a client, it's not going to do good work. So
Mhm.
that I got it down to two. So you and the other one.
So
And then I
curious to
think,
find out who this
yeah,
is after.
I'm sure you can figure it out. But anyway, so I think what was the yeah, it came down to, I guess, when they had said who my individual coach would be, because like you can see all the blurbs, like
Totally.
who all is there. And I think having Megan, like knowing that, okay, you'd want me to be with, and I figured like, yeah, eating disorder history, that tracks. But I would rather, like again, like with the certifications, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of coaches out there, like eating that guy, like the only certification that he's got is that he's an Olympian. Cool, good for
Mm.
you. There's no certified personal training, there's no nutrition, there's no like clearly you're not staying up to date with the research. Whereas at least like with both of the programs that it came down to, there was very much a lot of research, a lot of like continuing education going on.
Mhm.
But I think it just came down to like, yeah, if this is my individual coach, she seems great and all, but I feel like this is a better fit for me.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So definitely the vibe was like a big thing for you, which,
Mhm.
for anyone listening, I support that so much. Like you said, even same thing with like therapy. There's been people I've told like, hey, I think we could help you, but like, this is not necessarily clicking as far as like personality. And the last thing I want is for you to invest money when we're going to have trouble, like trusting in each other or just like connecting. That's nothing against, I never take that personally. It's nothing against the other person either. Like there's people you click with and there's people you just don't, and that's the world and that's totally fine. So I think that's a super important thing to look at. Now I know you had done something like you had done coaching to a degree before. Again, it wasn't the greatest experience, but you might have had a little bit of insight. But what did you expect before you got started? Like, what were you kind of expecting it to look like with us? And then were these expectations like met? Was it exactly what you thought, or what was kind of maybe different than you thought?
I guess so before, like, because you guys talk about the whole spiel or the whole shebang
Pretty
essentially like
transparent.
within the first consult call. So I guess before going into the consult call, I figured it would be like, here's a nutrition plan and here's like the workout split that we recommend you do. That's what I expected. And it is so much more than that. So because like I said, like it's holistic, it's everything. And even like
Yeah.
the weekly check-in forms, you ask about absolutely everything, things that I don't even, I mean, I guess, okay, yeah, I'm a therapist. I do, I ask the same things for my clients, but it's still like, oh yeah, that does also affect nutrition. Cause it's
Mhm.
usually like, oh yeah, that affects mental health. Or like mental health
Right.
is going to affect this, but it's like, oh yeah, it is all connected. Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense for you guys to want to know that information too.
Is
And
there like one big thing that sticks out to you that was like, okay, that's even more than I thought, or I didn't expect that, or that's been a big, like, big instrumental part for me?
um the mindset,
Yeah.
like I mean, body image obviously plays a role. Again, working with eating disorder programs, but the self-image question, that's always
Totally.
the one where like, wait, I haven't really thought about my like self-image that isn't
Yeah.
tied to body image. So
That's
having to
great.
differentiate those, I still struggle. Like, I don't know. I feel good. That's not an answer. Like, what the heck do I say to this? Yeah, because I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm still kind of like, I don't know where I'm at.
And that's probably one, I mean, that's probably more related to kind of what you do, but it does so much tie to health and fitness too. And like people might look at that and not expect us to talk about kind of how do you view yourself outside of fitness and nutrition, since we are obviously fitness and nutrition coaching. But while we are fitness and nutrition coaching, to me, it's very much like wellness coaching, right? And part of being like wellness is being confident, loving who you are, loving how the confidence you show up in the world. Because and like I just use fitness and nutrition as the stepping stone, but I believe like when you step into it in that way, you excel in every other spot. That's why I named the company Accelerate Athletics, right? So like that self-image question of how do you identify and really, like love yourself outside of how you look is so
Mhm.
important. But it's something I think especially for us women, like you said, we don't differentiate those things. Like we have always like looked at our worth through how we look. And it's important to understand that those two things are different things. And it's important to care about how you look in terms of like taking care of yourself and being healthy. But I've talked about this a lot before. I don't know if on the pod, but definitely on like my Instagram story. I think that the way to create sustainable health change is to come through a lens of loving yourself. So we need to fix that self-image and like love yourself separately. Because when you love yourself and want to take care of yourself, then like body image is gonna follow, right? That's my little soapbox, but I think that's a
I
cool.
had to check, like I keep my my weekly check-in form open the entire week, and I just like
Oh, I
add
love
things in as
that.
they go along because I'm not gonna remember. I
Totally.
remember yesterday. So I'm like, what did I put on for this week? Because I'm not gonna submit it until tomorrow night. But yeah, so how was self-image this week? Slash, how did you feel as a person? As a person, I felt great. I have no idea what that means. So I'm not gonna submit that answer, but like I guess overall, yeah. So
But
I'm
that's
still
great. Like we want that, that, I mean, that's probably changed over time too, right? Like feeling good. But yeah, like digging in and challenging yourself of what does that mean? Like, what does that mean in more detail? But I think it's so cool that you pointed that out. What was your like original goal when you came to EA?
I just over the past, well, I don't know, I guess when did I really notice the difference? I think, well, I'm never happy with myself, like, or my body image, I guess. Haha,
Hmm.
body image. I've never been happy with myself. It would be nice to get to a place where I can be, but I don't have enough evidence to show that that is possible for me yet. Um, but I really like, as closest as I've gotten to that of like, wow, yeah, I really like the way I look was March of 2022.
Okay.
And since then, I've just, for whatever reason, like I didn't really change anything. But I've been gaining weight, like gaining fat and losing muscle, even though I've been training this, like 5 days a week and eating, like I don't eat processed foods other than like I have my 1 or 2 date nights per week, but even when we go out, it's still going to be like either sushi, which is protein and rice and vegetables, or steak, which is protein and rice and vegetables. Like those are the types of foods that I crave. It's not like I'm trying to actively
Yeah.
avoid mac and cheese. It's just not what feels good for me. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm doing all the right things and like and boundaries and self-care and stuff. And I went to, like something isn't working. I don't know what it is. Like maybe something's going on like hormonally or physically or medically. So then I went to like a medical doctor and like, no, everything's fine. Like, what about my thyroid? No, everything's fine. And talked to a dietitian through not here. It was through like Factor. I think one of my friends gave me a promo code to Factor and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get like that free dietitian consult. And that was when she was like, she'd obviously asked like what am I eating or how many calories and stuff. And I calculated and I told her, she was like, yeah, that's way too low. I'm like, oh. I was like, yeah, like we would work you up to this number. Oh. And so that's when I knew, and that was early last year.
Okay.
And so then I kind of started my like going into this. I already knew about the reverse diet. Like, yeah, it's what I figured is coming because that's what, the other
Right.
diet had told me. And it's like started kind of gradually doing that, but it wasn't at the pace that I'm at it now. Like I was still like, okay, we'll just do a little bit more and then we'll stay here for like ever. And then we'll do a little bit more and then we'll stay here for like ever. Uh yeah, I
So you
forget what
knew,
the
yeah, what your goal was. So you knew you
yes.
needed in order to kind of like, maybe lose a little bit of weight, but put your metabolism back in a good spot and kind of needed support
That
to,
was the ultimate thing. Because
yeah.
like I know like weight, like the number on the scale doesn't really mean shit. I care more about body composition. I want to
Yeah.
be my best self. I want to be as lean as I possibly can. That's healthily or
Right.
that English is healthy and build lean muscle mass, which is going to help with that. I mean, it's all
Totally.
connected, but I ultimately just want to be my best self in
Yeah.
every way, shape, and form. So
And to do that, we knew you needed to put your metabolism back in a good spot, which
yep.
is really scary. The way to do that is to eat more. And like that's terrifying for a lot of women, especially those with an ED past, like I know you had. And so just needing some support with that for sure. What's been, so I know it's only been pretty much 4 weeks of protocols, so not long at all. Because, and anybody listening to this podcast and found us probably knows that I'm so big on like doing things the right way, even if it's not going to mean quick changes, which also asterisk, if you have a coach who is telling you it's going to take 9, 12, whatever months to reach a goal, that is a good coach because I know that that does not make somebody want to buy. I know that they're like, no, I want it quicker. So if somebody's telling you something that's going to make you less likely to buy, they have your best interest at heart. Anyway, that's my ramble. But so it's only been 4 weeks, so not a long time in the grand scheme of things. But I know you've been seeing a lot of change in terms of, even if it's just like mental, but I'm gonna let you speak on that. What's kind of been the biggest change you've seen so far, even in just a month?
Yeah, I think the biggest, like you said, the biggest thing was mindset. Like my relationship with food, my relationship with exercise, my relationship with basically everything except for my body image. But even then, like I feel like, I mean, we do the weekly, submit your photos, and like I track my weight daily, but that doesn't trigger me. Like even the photos, like, all right, like, because it's Megan's problem. She can look at that and tell me what I should do or not do. And like that's like being able to just like surrender that control, which, with
Yeah.
ED history and just my own like trauma, like it's really scary to do that. But I'm in a place like, and I think even before going into EA, I knew that like, yep. Like even telling Michael before I was signing up, like they're probably gonna have me eat more and work out less. And he was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and I explained it a little bit, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah. And guess what y'all are doing to him too. So anyway, it's like I feel like, yeah, mentally that has been the biggest change. And physically, I haven't really seen any changes, which in and of itself is kind of crazy because
Right.
I'm already eating. Where am I at now? I don't know. I'm already eating, like, let's just say, I don't want to do math, significantly more than what I was when I first started with EA like a month ago. And my body hasn't changed. Like, I don't look any different. You would think that if I'm eating more
Right.
consistently every single day, that would not be the case, but
Right.
that is not. So,
And I want to like emphasize that for a second, because I think a lot of people might hear that and be like, what? Like, if your goal is to lose weight, like, why
mhm,
is that a win? But because for so many people like you, that you are in a spot where you're eating so little and you're not seeing change because your metabolism is so downregulated, the only way we can get to a point of losing weight in a healthy way is to put your metabolism back in a spot where you're maintaining at a higher amount of calories, and then we can pull from there later down the road, right? So the fact that we are able to work your calories up several hundred calories more and not gain weight, like that's a massive win. And we're seeing that metabolic healing
yeah.
happen, for lack of a better term. And then we'll be in a position to, put you in a calorie deficit where it doesn't feel miserable. It's very healthy. So totally love that you pointed it out, because that is a huge
And
physical.
maybe for context, like I can estimate the numbers. Well, I know so in March 2022, that was 3 months because we did the coach was in January. And that was like the 1015 calories. So that was the plan for January of 2022. And then they took away all carbs. And I'm
Oh,
like, yeah, so I'm gonna put some carbs back. So I was having some rice with my meals, but it wasn't nearly as much as I should have been. So I think I was probably I got myself to like 1200 something. That's what I was doing for until like July of last year. And then and I think, working with the eating disorder program, like I know what, the registered dietitians here, like having their clients eat, and you look like that and you're supposed to be eating like almost twice as much as I am. Huh. And so, yeah, so then I think I got myself up to, like, after meeting with that dietitian initially, and reversing myself to like 1535. And that's where I was at when I started here. And then like it wasn't even scary at that point when they're like, yeah, we want you to work up to 2000. But here's the thing, like I know, like, and obviously, weight loss technically is calories in, calories out. But if you're only eating 1000 calories or even 1200 calories or even 1535 calories, where are you, like, when you cut, like what are you
where are you
cutting?
gonna go?
There's
Where are you gonna
nowhere to
go?
go.
Nowhere to go. Yeah,
So yeah,
totally.
you got to
Um,
build yourself up to something that's more sustainable that way. And like at some point, yeah, when I get to the 2000 calories and maintain that for a while and then cutting back down, I mean, probably cutting back to, or maybe even higher than where I started.
Yeah, which is so cool. You're
So
like, how am I eating this much and losing weight?
yeah,
Okay, so we've seen some physical, well, I won't, maybe not change, but physical wins in terms of like not
yes,
seeing change with eating more.
yeah.
But then you said the mental being the biggest, which that's huge, from coming from an ED past and now being like excited to eat more and add more. What do you feel like has been the biggest thing from EA that's kind of helped you be able to do that? Like, I'm wondering if maybe actually, like, you're talking a lot, like you're talking with a lot of knowledge, which is so cool to see. Like, you now understand this. And that's our whole goal. Like, I want you to have this knowledge. Do you feel like that's been a big part of it, is actually being educated to kind of give you the confidence to make these changes?
So the thing is, like, at least for me, like I said, like I already knew, like I was setting myself up to become a certified nutrition coach and personal trainer after I deal with my license exam. So like the knowledge is like that's kind of always been there. Like I went through all of the course and like there are a couple things where like, oh yeah, like I didn't know, but like the bulk of it was like, yeah, like that I do stay up to date with this stuff. But knowing something and putting it into practice are two
Totally.
very different things.
This is
Same
true.
thing with therapy, right? Like there are times where it hasn't happened in, anytime recently, but there was something that like I was freaking out about, like this anxiety or whatever, worrying about something, and my boyfriend was like, why are you reacting like this? You're the therapist. You're supposed to be the good example. Like,
Yeah.
I'm off the clock and I'm still human. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't always put our own coping skills and theories and practices. I mean, and
True.
that's why therapists should have their own therapists. Coaches probably, I assume, have their own coaches. And it just, I
Yep.
don't know who the big boss coach is. Certainly probably going to be a circle. Same thing with the boss therapist, right? But I think, yeah, there's always more to learn. Even if you know the stuff,
Totally.
it doesn't mean you're actually implementing it in the best way that works for you.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's honestly been accountability. It's kind of been like the thing for you. That's really helped you get there, which yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody always needs that next person. We're human. I think people forget that therapists are human, coaches are human. Like I have a coach myself. Like it plus you do it all day for everyone else. Like you kind of need someone to take it off your plate for you. So amazing. Okay. I know we're kind of running out of time here. So I think that the last big question I have is how do you see, I mean, again, I know it's only been 4 weeks, but the goal is that this is like a lifestyle change, right? Like, how do you see what you've learned so far kind of fitting into your life long term?
I mean, it kind of fit right in from the get-go initially because again, like I started from a place where like I remember for the first week you have us track like everything, like in my fitness pal, like this is all of the stuff that I eat throughout the week and these are the workouts that I've been doing. And I remember like on my onboarding call, Megan and Nick was shadowing and she was like, so like looking at what you eat really clean. Like, is this your usual? Yeah. So, I mean, it's already kind of been sustainable. Like I don't have a problem with like finding the right balance between eating the foods that are going to nourish me in the way
Right.
that getting my nutrients and also being able to have the fun foods. That
Yeah.
actually has kind of increased a little bit. I can go into that later, but like, yeah. And the workouts, like they didn't really change, like at least not the frequency and stuff. So it fit right in. Like it's going to be sustainable. It's more just, yeah, I'm just doing more of the eating thing that I was
Yeah.
doing
More
before.
of the right things. Like, and I think that's
Yeah.
a cool thing for anybody listening. Cause, I would say like what's cool, what I love about EA is I feel like our client base is actually not what you would typically expect of like people who would need coaching. Cause I think when people think like personal trainer, coach, it's like people who have zero idea what they're doing and are brand new. And we definitely have a few of those clients, but I'd say for the most part, we actually help a lot of people who are doing a lot of the right things or have like they're doing a lot of the things, I guess I should say, but they're either doing too much like overtraining or under eating because they have more of like that poor relationship with those two things and it's like almost too much, too obsessive. And so or they're just like they have a lot of the baseline habits, like they're trying to make great food choices and eat whole, but you also have to remember there's the piece that means that's like optimizing it, right? Like you can eat healthy but you still need to have like now the right quantities of healthy and like have the right quantity of working out, right? I'm blanking on the word, but like volume and frequency, etc.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for you, it was like a lot of the base was there. It was now just like, okay, how do I take this and actually tweak it to be more the right thing for you?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's been so cool getting to hear about kind of your experience and just how easily it did fit in for you and how easy of like a decision it did seem for you. Is there anything for anybody that's listening who's like maybe wondering, do I need a coach? Like, should I look through this route? What should I look for? Is there any kind of like words of advice you would have for them?
Yeah, I recommend it 100%. And also, if
Period.
you have a significant other, get them in on it too, because it's a really fun to do it with Michael or with
Yeah, I actually we didn't even get to that. Yeah, so she's referenced Michael a couple times. That's her boyfriend. He actually joined in as a client as well, which has been super cool. And obviously, I just think shows a lot of like how much it has positively affected you to then have him see that and be like, should I get in on this too? So that is awesome. Yeah, anything else that you want to add?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining us, Alex. I really had fun getting to catch up with you. Appreciate it. I think it'll be really helpful for people to hear. And if anybody has any questions, can I put your Instagram handle below in the
Yeah.
notes, have them DM
Yeah.
you? Because like, look, I know obviously people are like, well, obviously you're going to say it's great. You own the business. Yes. So don't take my word for it. Take Alex's, hit her up. She'll give you honest opinions. I won't know what's happening. But thanks so much, guys, for listening. And I will see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.